all, welcome back. In this session, we are going to set up a lab for the application repackaging. So what are the softwares required to set up a lab environment? So basically we need three softwares. One is hypervisor, other one is Windows operating system, and then you need to have an Adminstudio. So these are the three softwares required to set up a packaging lab environment. So what is hypervisor? Hypervisor is, something it is, if you want to create a virtual machine, then hypervisor is required. And if you want to create a virtual machine, so we need to have an operating system loaded in the virtual machine. So for that we need an operating system. And once you have hypervisor installed and we have operating system is loaded, then we need to have an Adminstudio. That's called a packaging tool. So once we have all the three softwares installed, then the lab is ready. So let's move on. First, we would like to download the hypervisor. So hypervisor, as I said, it is for creating a virtual machine. If you want to create any virtual machine, there are multiple softwares, hypervisors available in the market. One is like a VMware Workstation, Microsoft Hyper-V, Oracle VirtualBox, and Virtual PC. There are a lot of other vendors available, but ultimately our aim is to create a virtual machine. So right now in this lab, I'm just going to show you how to set up a VM with the VMware Workstation. I did already downloaded a VMware software on my machine. So this is a link from, you can directly go to the VMware website and you get a trial version. And once it is downloaded, and again we need to download operating system. So operating system like an ISO file. If you want to set up a VM, you need to have an ISO file. So which operating system do you download it? Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 10 or Windows Server? Yes, of course. We can download any of them. It depends on the requirement. Let's assume that my end user computers, my client computers are like a Windows 7 64-bit. Then I need to create a package on a virtual machine which is having a Windows 7 64-bit. If my client computer is a Windows 10 operating system, I would like to create a virtual machine with a Windows 10 and repackage an application and a Windows 10 operating system. And if it is a Windows Server, let's create a VM of Windows Server. So the reason why I'm going for the hypervisor, I can create multiple virtual machine, and each and every virtual machine gets loaded with a different operating system. And a single machine, I can run multiple operating system. That is the speciality of the hypervisor. I can run multiple operating system on the same computer without any conflict, right? And even I have already downloaded the operating system, that's a Windows 7. Right now, I have the hypervisor and Windows 7 operating system, both of them are ready. Let me show you here. I did already downloaded it on my base computer. These are the two the folders I have: Windows 7 ISO file and VMware Workstation. So rather just keeping it on your desktop or keeping it somewhere on a temporary location, I would suggest you just go to your your drive, just verify how many drives you have it. I suggest you to have one separate drive created to set up a packaging lab. So the reason, I don't want to really mess up with my other drives. So let's have a dedicated drive created for the application packaging. So right now I have only one drive, that is a C drive. I believe most of the computers nowadays are having only the C drive, which is coming by default with a 500 GB or 1 TB hard disk. So here, let's take out at least minimum of 100 GB and create one drive. Okay. So how do we do that? I would like to do some partition here. Go to computer, right click, you see there is an option called manage. And from here, you see there is an option like a disk management. Once you click on it, it will give you the option. Go to this disk 0, that is a C drive. And when you do a right click, you get an option called shrink. So this is going to shrink. It is going to gather all the required space available on the C drive. Let's say if you have a 500 GB hard disk and only the 100 GB is occupied and the remaining 400 GB is free. So it is going to shrink all the 400 GB and give it to you. Then you can partition how many drives you want it. So at least let's take around 50 or 100 GB of hard disk space from the C drive and create a separate drive. So that's what right now I'm doing it. That's the best practice because I don't want to disturb my other files and folders or other drives on my base operating system. So let's wait. It is going to gather the available space. But right now my machine is having only the 60 GB disk, so I don't get much space. But in your machine, if you have try to gather how much you can do it, like more than 100 GB. So right now it's having around 27 GB of free space. Let me shrink the whole, and this is going to create one new drive. And let's see. Yep, the unallocated space right now I have a 27 GB. So let me create one separate drive for it. So to do that, right click on this unallocated disk and new simple value. Just do a right click on it and click on next. How much you would like to take out the GB from the 27, you just mention it over here. Right now I would like to take the whole space because it is very less space. It's a 27, let it be. And you can allocate a drive letter for it, so let it be with the E drive. Just move on, and the volume label, I would like to label it application packaging. Okay, so it's done. This is going to create a E drive with the name application packaging. So right now it is formatting it and it is making it ready. Now you see it is done. Let's go to my base machine. I could see that it's a C drive and also have an E drive. It's an application packaging. So now I would like to put my all softwares into this particular drive so that it would be easy for me to manage and control my packaging lab. So let's move it into the C drive. Yes, now I did move everything into this E drive, which is we created this now. Now I would like to install a VMware workstation. Just do a right click and do the run as administrator. As I told you before in my previous session, every time when you try to install any application, we have to do the run as administrator. As a packager, this is mandatory for us to remember. And this is going to install my VMware workstation. There is really nothing. It just we need to go all default options. Click on next, next, next. Click on next, agree, next. Go with the typical. Click on next. Would you like to check for the product update? I really don't want to do it, so uncheck this one. It's better. And help improve, even we don't need this, uncheck. Yes, desktop shortcut, start menu shortcut, this is fine. So let's continue. I did pause the recording because it was taking 20 to 30 minutes. Now you see a VMware workstation is installed on my computer. I can see there is a desktop icon created. Let's go to the add remove program. Even you can see a VMware workstation is installed. Done. Now the next step is we would like to create a virtual machine. So just do a right click on it and open. So here you have an option, create a new virtual machine. Click on it. It will ask you for the ISO file. So what you have to do is you first, as I told you before, which operating system would you like to load it? I mean, which virtual machine you want to create it? Is it a Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 10 or Windows Server? So whatever, as per the requirement, we just need to download the operating system file and now browse it. I'm just going to browse. I already copied my Windows 7 ISO file into this drive application packaging. So here I have an ISO file for the Windows 7 x64. Let's open. You see the Windows 7 x64 is detected, and once it is detected you just need to click on it and then you just name it the login account. I mean, if you have a product key you just provide it, and which operating system, it's a Windows 7 home basic, whatever it is relevant. Let's select that, and then where do you like to save this? So this is going to create a virtual machine. Where do you want to store the virtual machine files and folders? So for that, I did already create that same drive, that's an application packaging. Over here, instead of it, create one folder. Sorry, just go here and click on new, Windows 7 x64 VM. Just name it something to identify, okay, this is a virtual machine of Windows 7. So all the files and folders of the virtual machine would be loaded into here. So that's the reason I created a separate drive. You can have everything placed in this. Click on next. Just you can just go all with the default. If you want to set up more space for your virtual machine, maybe you can just set it up. Right now I'm just giving only the 60 GB. You can set up a 100 GB or 200 GB based on the availability of the space, and then click on finish. So this is going to create a disk, and after that it is going to load the Windows 7 operating system. Let's wait for some time. It will take some time to create a disk. But now you see it is loading the Windows 7 operating system. Just look at this. Windows is loading the file. This is something similar that we always, we used to do loading an operating system into our desktop and laptop machine. The similar way now we are loading an operating system into the virtual machine with the help of a VMware workstation. So now it's loading the OS, and we have to install the operating system. So this would, again, it takes around 20 to 30 minutes of time. See now it's copying the Windows file. So all the steps it has to be completed. Then you see right now the step number 1, collecting the information. Then the step number 2, it is going to install the Windows. So this whole process definitely take at least 30 minutes of time. So once this is done, this is going to load your operating system, and it will make it ready for use. So I'm just going to pause this recording because it takes around 30 minutes. Let's come back once Windows is ready. It's done. Windows 7 is loaded. On top of it, it is installing the VMware tools. This is very important for us. Once a VM is created, if you want to do any kind of drag and drop operations, or you want to do any copy paste work from base machine to the VM and VM to the base machine, and you want to have any devices connected direct to the VMware, like any USB or pen drives, if you want to load any CD or DVD, or if you want to plug in your headset. So if you want to operate anything directly from the VMware, so this VMware tools are really required. So let it set up with this on top of VMware, on top of VM is created. So now I have VM ready. So first we did install the VMware workstation, and on top of it we downloaded the Windows 7 ISO file, and then with the help of Windows 7 ISO file we did create a Windows 7 VM on this VMware workstation tool. Now I have my machine ready. This is ready to use for packaging. So, but right now I'm not having any Adminstudio tool is installed over here. So first of all, I have to install an Adminstudio tool. Let's download the Adminstudio tool and install it. Before I install an Adminstudio tool on this VM, first of all, I would like to take a snapshot of this particular clean operating system. So the other purpose of creating a VM is I can create images. I can create some snapshot for my operating system. Right now you see it's a clean operating system. There is nothing installed on it. It's only the operating system and base load application like an Internet Explorer and media player. So now I'm going to take a snapshot on this. So how do I take a snapshot? Go to the snapshot option. You see there is a snapshot manager, and as of now I'm not having any snapshots over here. I would like to create one snapshot. I'm going to name it as a base and give some description. Clean operating system. There is nothing installed on it. So let's take a snapshot. And I'm also advising you, like, rather just directly taking a snapshot on this, just cancel this and do the power off. I always suggest you to do a power off and then take the snapshot. That's the best practice. The reason, it's going to occupy a very less space on your computer. So let's do a right click and go to snapshot manager and take a snapshot. Let's name it base and clean operating system. There is really nothing installed on it. So even taking a snapshot is much easy in power off mode. It doesn't take much time. Yes, now it is powered on. I would like to install an Adminstudio tool. So for that, you can directly connect to the internet and download it, or else if you have already downloaded your Adminstudio tool on your base computer, you can access it from there. So I can just show you here. Go to the Windows 7 settings and go to the options, go to the shared folder. You have an option called always enable map as a network drive. I would like to access my base drive. We have created a drive called application packaging. So I would like to access that application packaging drive inside my VM. For that, I am doing this setting. Click on add, click on next and browse. You have an option here. Here you have the option. Go to settings, go to options, shared folder, always enabled and map it. I would like to access my application packaging. There is a drive we created it and I have downloaded Adminstudio tool and kept it in the application packaging drive. So I'm accessing the drive from my base computer. Click add, browse. Select this application packaging drive, click OK and next and finish, done. So you would see that application packaging drive as a shared drive over here. Now if you just double click and you can access whatever the files and folder you are keeping it on your application packaging folder. So this is how you can copy access your base machine files and folder by going with this shared option from the VM settings, or else you can also do the copy paste from your base computer to the VM and VM to the base computer. Even this is allowed, but this process may take longer time when you want to copy a huge size like around 1 GB 2 GB of the files. It really takes a lot of time, so better to go and enable the sharing option from the VMware settings. Okay, this is the best option. And after this, I'm making a copy of this Adminstudio from my application packaging drive. Yes, now Adminstudio is copied onto my VM desktop and I'm installing this Adminstudio tool. Just do a run as administrator. I'm installing Adminstudio on my Windows 7 VM, the one which we created now, because this is what I want to use it as a packaging machine for creating any kind of package for the given applications. So there is really nothing to do. I just click on next. It's not really a huge setup. And just go with the typical, and this may take at least 20 to 30 minutes of time. So I'm just going to pause this recording and come back once it is finished. Yes, it is completed. You see, Installshield wizard is completed. So the admin studio. Now just click on finish. Now just look at, once admin studio is installed, go to the start menu. You should see admin studio folder created with a lot of tools under it. So it is a suite. You see there are a lot of other tools from this. And at the same time, you can also see Installshield. There is a separate folder created. This is also coming as part of the admin studio. So total we see a lot of other tools, but ultimately out of all, as a packager, I mean, we would need only, there are three tools, like repackager is one tool, tuner is another tool, and Installshield the other one. So total three tools we require for repackaging it. And so now we have an admin studio, even it is ready. Once this admin studio tool is installed, I would also suggest you to go ahead and create one more snapshot. So as I told you, first of all, you have to power off the machine. Yeah, once it is powered up, just again go to the snapshot manager. You already have a base snapshot where you have a clean operating system. Now here I would like to take one more snapshot. I just name it Admin Studio. So here Admin Studio tool is installed. Take a snapshot. It is done. Now you just close it and power it on. So now it's almost done. So my VM and Admin Studio tool, it's installed. Yes, yeah. Now it is ready. I have two snapshots. One is a base snapshot and other one is Admin Studio snapshot. So whenever I would like to create a package, I should always go to this Admin Studio snapshot and revert the machine. So today I'm just going to create one package with a notepad. And once the package creation of notepad is completed, I'm going back to this snapshot admin studio. I'm going to revert the machine back so that I would be getting a clean machine with admin studio tool is installed. So every time whenever I do create a new package, I have to revert back to this admin studio snapshot. So now I have my repackaging lab is set up. VMware workstation is installed. On top of it, VM is created by loading the Windows 7 operating system. And I have the Admin Studio tool installed and it's ready for creating a packages. What I did, a lab setup, hypervisor, VMware workstation, and Windows 7 operating system. I did create it, then configured it, and then I did download the Admin Studio tool. And once it is installed, I could see the three shortcuts as I mentioned. These are the three required, tools for creating the package. So this is where we're going to work. Hope the session is clear, and the takeaway from the session is the lab is created. Now you can set up a lab on your own on your computer. You can start practicing it on your own. So this is ultimate the idea behind setting up a lab, so you can do it on your own. Thank you. Thanks for watching the session. See you again in the next session.